hits and misses. Might as well call it hits and eating crow. Y'all, we said it yesterday during our one-off reaction videos. Colorado, we were off on them. We were wrong. I really thought Colorado would trot out there after losing to Nebraska. A lot of transfers. You got Shedeur talking about the offensive line, and then Colorado went out there and put a beating on Colorado State. We picked Colorado State. We were wrong. Hey, crow. If you're listening on a podcast, we are eating a bag of crow right now, as we deserve to, having picked that one wrong. And also, I'll say this. There was a lot of takes, too, that I thought were a little bit nonsense out there around Shedeur Sanders and the way that he handled himself post-game. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, Braden Fowler-Nicolosi, quarterback for Colorado State, during the week says essentially he feels like they should have beat them last year, is what him and his teammate Torrey Horton said. And then he also mentioned, we'll see how far Instagram followers get them, essentially implying that Colorado was all bark and no bite. All right, so then after the game, Braden Fowler-Nicolosi goes to shake Shedeur Sanders' hand. Shedeur Sanders is like, no, you were the one talking all that cash, and doesn't shake his hand. All right, so the internet ran with this one, and they tried to tell you Shedeur Sanders is a bad guy. You got one part of the internet telling you Braden Fowler-Nicolosi is a bad guy, and I'm like, why are we being soft about this? Like, this is rivalry college football. I'm cool with you talking smack before the game. I'm cool with you handling yourself a certain way after the game. It's a rivalry college football. Now, if you're in Shedeur Sanders' camp, say, hey, you got every NFL GM watching you. Might not be the worst look in the world to shake my guy's hand. But even with that being said, I don't have an issue with it. Not a big deal, and this is not chess or debate club, so it's rivalry college football, and I think everything that happened there is well within bounds, all right, just so we're on the same page. Now, we were right about Alabama. We said Alabama, you know, the USF game was the USF game. I'm not pounding the alarm because it went to the fourth quarter against South Florida. They went to the fourth quarter last year against South Florida, then won the SEC, so pretty straightforward there. Y'all, Jalen Milroe is a walking multi-touchdown game kind of guy, both rushing and passing. In every single game now, he has both run for 2 and thrown for more than 2. So, I mean, like, I think he's absolutely a Heisman Trophy kind of guy. The thing that we talked about before the game that we feel like we hit on in terms of what happened in the game, Alabama, I think for the most part leading into this game, kept it pretty vanilla, kept it pretty casual, and then when they got to this game now, I don't think they showed you everything. I don't think they pulled back the curtain and showed you what they really had in the bag, but I do think they went a little bit deeper. Kalen DeBoer put some sauce on it, and we saw Alabama score 42. So the Tide, they're just going to keep trending upward. I said it yesterday. It feels like they have some Saban-ish traits, if you will, when it comes to how they're going to trend, which is ultimately playing their best football when it matters the most. We were way off on Florida. Crow on Florida. Florida, I hate to say this because I am always this crow right here for us if you're listening on podcasts. Bunch of crow. Florida, we're bad. Are bad on that. Man. I hate to say it. It feels like Florida's really cooked right now. And I said this if you watch me on our Instagram reactions we do, like in real time on Saturdays. I'm always the guy that's like, give the head coach more time, give the quarterback more time. Why? Because college football is really freaking hard. Like this is a very difficult sport these people commit their lives to. Even with that being my predisposition, it's time, man. Like it's a matter of when, not if, when it comes to Billy Napier no longer being the head guy at Florida. And that's coming from someone that said before the season, hey, they're going to play for Billy Napier. This roster is better than we think. Graham Mertz is, I think, a lot better than people are giving credit for nationally. And then they go out there and, just get absolutely just run over by Texas A&M in the swamp, mind you, with a quarterback making his first start. I can't defend that. I don't think there's anyone that can defend right now what's happened at Florida so far. So we were way off on Florida. Thought they would kind of draw a line in the sand. Clearly, that did not happen at all. Now, we hit on this, and we might get some pushback here, but that's okay. I think Georgia showed the championship traits that we talked about. You're saying, JD, they really probably in a lot of people's minds should have lost to Kentucky. Like, I hear you. I understand. I'm not too worried about Georgia because to me, I'm like, okay, Georgia did not have their best game. 100% true. Did not have it. And even when that was the case, found a way to get it done. So I think really it's all your perspective on this whole thing. Some people say, hey, Georgia got exposed against Kentucky. I'm saying Kentucky's always played Georgia well. We've seen them have lackluster road SEC openers, much like last year against Auburn. The way they played Missouri a couple years ago, where they had to have a comeback, I believe, late in that game to end up finding a way to win in Columbia. And that team ended up winning the national title that struggled with Missouri, for the record. So, not worried about Georgia. Again, I think they didn't have their best day. Still found a way to get it done. That's what good football teams find a way to do. When it's not your best day, you find a way to get it done. One more. I don't even know if we need to eat crow on this. I think we've eaten crow about it before. But, man, I mean, Florida State, we picked them to beat Memphis. I'm putting the crow on the ground if you're hearing some crinkling bags here. We picked them to beat Memphis. And, I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. It's like when you go, your arm kind of hurts and you think maybe you have a hairline fracture. So you go to the doctor, they take an x-ray. Like, oh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the damage is. They come back with the results like, hey, it's a lot worse than we thought. That thing is broken in half. That is Florida State right now. And that's not taking anything away from Memphis. I think Memphis is a good football team. They're going to be very squarely in that G5 conversation when it comes to who could end up making the college football playoff. But, y'all, I'm nervous about Florida State. We were talking about them being the favorite to win the ACC, both us and Las Vegas. Las Vegas is a place with skyscrapers in the middle of the desert, all right? They were way off on this one. We were way off on this one, and the loss to Memphis just felt like salt in the wound. I don't even know if they're going to make a bowl game. That is a fair question to ask now around Florida State. So, hits and misses from week 3. Again, this is our prediction show, but every single Tuesday, take accountability, look you square into the camera lens that you're watching the show on YouTube from, and we speak directly into your eardrums if you're listening on podcast, and that was the way the cookie crumbled from week 3 of the college football season.